What's going on, guys? This is Kobe with Sample Source back with another video. If you don't know who I am already, I am a platinum music producer and Billboard producer. I produce for Rod Wave, K-Camp, YFN Lucci, Rotimi, Bino Redu, and many, many more that are released. And there's unreleased ones with the likes of Lecrae, Big Sean, Chris Brown, Designer, King Loss, and many, many more. And in today's video, what I'm going to teach you is the exact strategy that I use to get placements, no strings attached, so that you can go out and copy this strategy and start getting your own placements if you have good samples or beats. So let's hop into it. I'm going to show you on my whiteboard the exact strategy. I'm going to write it down so that you can go and copy this in your business. Okay, so placements. So basically what you want to do to get these, and I'm not talking about independent releases, I'm talking about major label stuff, is to actually have a good product first. And so what I see is a lot of people try to get into this to make money. They try to get into this to get clout, all of that. And it's really, really, really difficult to just send a million samples out or a million beats out and they're all bad or mediocre and average. And that way you can't actually stand out. And really what you want to do, instead of just doing high volume of bad product, you want to do low volume of good product. So I know this is like super obvious, but this has to be in place before you even think about trying to get placements. So I play guitar, I mix down samples, all of that. I don't think it's the best in the world, but I do think that it is a good product that's unique and stands out. So the second thing that you need to do is you need to go and find one producer. So what kind of producer am I talking about? Well, I can go and show you the exact producer that that I got my start with in the music industry, but I don't want you guys going and blowing up his DMs. But essentially, I went and found one producer that really, really liked my sound. And basically from that one producer, he started to post collabs that we were putting out. And so I would do individual collabs with him. And basically what would happen is another producer would see that and then he would want to work with me, and then another producer or two producers would see that and then they would want to work with me. And you can see how this goes and starts snowballing into all of these different areas so that you can start your network of producers that really want to work with you specifically. So that's why you have to come back to here and say this is where it starts, because if you're putting out mediocre stuff, there's no way that this is going to snowball into all of this and you'll be able to build a network putting out crap and garbage. So make sure that you're spending a lot of time making this stuff actually sound decent, and that's what's going to happen. So you're basically making them aware that you exist. So I've had after I got a Rod Wave placement, I've had Jetson Maids producers reach out. I had a lot of big producers that had major placements reach out to me. And so that was because of all the work that we put in as well. But once you find that one producer, you want to lock in a bunch of labs with them. And then they start posting on their story, and then this effect will happen. Cool. So once you've done that, you've built up your network. Now here's where you just have to be a workhorse and you have to put in the work. And basically, this is where volume comes in. So we have the quality up here. So I'll just put a Q. And then what happens is you're getting attention down here. I'll put A. So quality, attention, and then once you have the attention and network, you're going to add in volume down here. So that's the formula. So right here, what I found, for every 100 loops I send out, it equals one major placement. So so what I did is I figured out that I can play the lottery an unlimited amount of times. And so if you can play an infinite times with the lottery, it's like, yeah, you're not going to win. And so what is that going to equal? It's like you lose 100 more times, and then you win and you actually get money. And so whenever you figure out that this happens, it's like to recreate this, you have to go back through and just continue to fail over and over again. So this is why I say fail as fast as possible. So send out the loops, send out the loops, send out the loops. And eventually somebody's going to cut to the track. The producer's going to hit you up and you're going to have paperwork and they're going to release it with the label. So that's how this works is you're basically going to play the lottery for free and just keep spinning and spinning and spinning until you win. And so for everybody, you're going to have a different metric. So some people, they may only have to send out 25 loops. And some people may have to send out 250 loops. But either way, you just go and find your ratio and then you exploit that and just add in this volume and just do it over and over and over again. So that is the formula, really, to show you what my network looks like right now. If I wanted to send to them, I have about 40 producers on my list that I can send to. And realistically, I'm only working with one of them right now, and we get a placement basically every 2-3 months off of just one person. So one person equals 4 placements a year. So it's like with 40, it's like, what was that really looking like? It was only looking like maybe 3 placements a year from all 40. So by finding somebody who really loves your stuff, like he'll be in the studio with Rihanna, he was in there with Erykah Badu and all of these other people. And so I just worked with him and another person on his team that connected me with him. And then we just go and cash out placements all the time. So instead of working with a ton of people, like sending out weeklies and doing all of that, I just honestly think that's the wrong way to go. So to get people, like, how do you get people to mess with you? It's by branding yourself. And so you need a brand and you need to showcase your content. So whenever you're reaching out to producers and saying, yo, bro, can I send loops? Like, that's not going to work unless you have this. And so for me, I can go and send any old DM off to somebody and say, hey, bro, let's collab. And then they'll respond. But for you, if you have like 20 followers, you have like, a logo instead of actually showing your face, then it's like whenever you go and send these DMs, they think that you're like a 10-year-old kid trying to get a placement and you don't know how to do business. So go and put yourself out there and make sure when you're posting to have at least 9 reels. So your profile is going to look like this. You're going to have the 9 reels up. And then above that, you should have your bio. And so you should have your face actually in the bio. And then underneath, when you're writing out the bio, you have a nice headshot of you. But then when you're writing the bio out, you want to write like, who you've worked with, if anybody, so that you can have some clout. And if you don't, then say like what kind of loops you make and stuff like that. And that way it's going to give you the best chance of getting a response. So to get a response from producers when you reach out, you want to, one, show appreciation for something that they did. And so what I mean by that is like if they had a recent placement, if they worked with somebody massive, if they got some kind of award or something like that, just go ahead and give them a compliment. When they respond back, you're like, yeah, bro, for sure. Also, I got some loops for you. Is that cool if I send some to you? And then in the third one, when they give you permission, then you ask for the email. If you do it in these 3 steps, I guarantee you'll get way more opens from producers and that they will actually be more interested in you instead of force feeding your way in there and just trying to get them to respond and saying, yo, bro, what's your loop email? Because whenever somebody sends me that, I just delete it because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want you to spam weekly loops to me. I want you to send specific stuff that actually is going to benefit me instead of making loops and then doing BCC to like 500 producers. Makes sense. So so that's how you're going to make sure that you get responses from them. And then to keep it active, what you want to do is actually go back and send them a few like unique loops every week, maybe. Or what you can do, what I do is I just send out like a 10-pack a month. So I don't really focus on placements at all anymore. I told my manager, like, I'm really phasing out of that. I'm just focusing on helping you guys to make more money from independent stuff, but also to focus on building my beat business as well. So you guys can go and steal my strategy and use that and implement it to go and do your thing with the placements. And really, the last thing that I can share that I think will be helpful is when you're sending out samples, if it's like R&B or something that's like high fidelity, then you want to send MP3 previews. And then in a separate folder, you want to send stems that are zipped. That's how I always do it. That way they can go look at the previews, and then they know which ones they're going to use. So when they download the whole stems folder, they only are going to drag into the session the ones they want, instead of you going and putting everything at the end. But if you're doing trap, like trap or anything trap drill, something like that that doesn't really need as high fidelity, then actually all of my trap placements are MP3s, and then I put stems at the end of the MP3. So I don't send waves. So with these, this is going to be waves, and they're actually going to be the full track out, so the big files. But trap is more of a volume-based industry. So, I've lost out on publishing deals just because he couldn't even play like wave files to listen to because of the internet, Wi-Fi, whatever it is. So instead of doing that, like if you want to go with their work rate, which is super fast, you got to send MP3s so that they can load it into the session super fast and just crank out like 20 beats. So if you send a 20 pack over to them, make sure it's MP3s and you just put a space in between each of them so that the stem starts. So it's like the full sample. So it'll be like the full sample. Then there'll be a break in between, and then it'll be like melody number 1, break, 808, or pad bass or sub or whatever. Then you do a break, counter to melody, like that. And so that way they can drag us into the session, and then they'll just go and chop it like that. Or in some cases they'll just keep the master file up there. So a lot of times I won't put bass in my samples, because a lot of times they'll just use the full sample, make the whole beat around that, and then they won't even touch any of the stems either. So with all that being said, hopefully this is helpful for you to get placements and get started at least. And just know, above all else, the quality has to be there, as well as having the branding and having the content up so that people see you as a professional and they'll actually respond when you shoot a DM out to develop your own network. And if you are like, yeah, I like doing placements, but also I want to make money off of this, I don't want to just get clout, because I've only made $40,000 in 4 years from the music industry. Most of my money that's kept me full-time for 4 years has been from independent artist releases. So if you want to learn how you can charge anywhere from $250 to $1,000 for a beat, and you don't even need 1,000 followers, if you're working hard at grinding on YouTube and you're sending DMs on Instagram and you've tried everything to sell beats and nothing has worked, what I want to offer you is a free 20-minute coaching session where I can call you and we can talk about your business, and I can diagnose the main bottleneck that you can change so that you can make more money off of this. If you're interested in doing that, then just DM me the words mentor on Instagram at Kobe Sample Source. So DM me the word mentor on Instagram at Kobe Sample Source, and I'll respond back, and we'll set up a time where I can talk to you for free and give you some one-on-one advice. So hopefully that's helpful as well. I'll talk with you soon, and I'll see you guys in the next video.